Francie, we are
GG.
live. We're ready. We're rocking. We're rolling.
Let's get to work, man. I'm excited.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm really good.
Awesome.
You're better than I am, though, I understand, because you're just back from a vacation.
Well, I did. Yes, I did take a couple days. We went down to Mexico. It was
Okay.
incredible. I don't want to talk about it too much, Patrick, because I know you're a little sensitive around it, but it was awesome.
Well, I want to add one thing quickly, okay? You took more than a couple of days. So, like, don't minimize how you just abandoned ship for 10 days.
Whoa! 7. I'll agree on 7, but not 10.
Okay, you went dark. You're like Stephanie. It was a 7-day vacation, but travel days don't count. So you were dark for 10 days.
Oh, well, folks, those of you who are just logging in, welcome. Your host for tonight, Patrick Francie, and I'm going to be your co-host for tonight, JG, Francoeur, Jean-Guy Francoeur. And I'm excited for this. Patrick's excited for this, folks. Those of you just logging in now, we have people on here from coast to coast. So find the chat box. If you're watching this on the webinar, which is you've registered for the webinar, congratulations. You're going to get direct access to us. You're going to be able to ask questions. We're going to do a Q&A section at the back end of this talk tonight. So find the chat box. Let us know where you're from. And in good, like Patrick likes to say, in good old Canadian fashion, tell us what the weather is doing. I can tell you where I was yesterday. Where I was yesterday, it was 28 degrees and sunny. I got home, it was -2 and like half rain, half snow. So let us know where you're from and let us know what the weather's doing. Patrick, how's it hanging in BC right now?
Well, it's actually a little overcast today. I'm in the Fraser Valley. I don't know what the temperature is, but it's like, I want to say +7, +9, something like that. So it's a little bit, it's nice. It's okay. Like, it's not Alberta or, we're the other extreme. So it's good.
Yeah.
Weather-wise, I like it.
You like it? It's not too much, because you and I last month we were in Alberta there, and that was craziness.
Yeah, -38 and 35, and oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean, we got that one sunny day, and it was only -29. That was like a day of respite.
So we got guests on here tonight, all the way from Victoria to the other end of almost the other end of Central Canada, kind of the Central Canada in Ontario, and man, we got people from all over the place tonight. So that's awesome. Very, very
fantastic. Cool. Well, that's great. Surrey, BC, temperature is 9 degrees right now. That's unbelievable for me, who's from Ontario. So, folks, welcome. Listen, let's dive right in, Patrick. People are here. I want to get to the nuts and bolts of this webinar. I want to find out, folks, what attracted you here. If you're watching this live, put in the comments. If you're on the webinar, put this in the chat. Let us know what brought you here. Why are you here? What attracted you here? Because Patrick and I want to make this webinar as impactful for you as possible. And the only way we can do that is to know what brought you here. So let us know what brought you here to learn. What are you looking to learn? Tell us get specific.
Yeah, get specific, because, at the end of the day, these aren't pre-prepared presentations. I would let you know almost on a little secret about how much we were tweaking, but the point is that we want to be able to speak as directly to you and what you need, and we'll riff off it. We'll dig into where the conversation is for you. So the more we know about you, the better this conversation is going to get, to be able to let you know if we're going to be able to deliver on what we want to deliver on for you, and how does it fit for you. So right away, we get a how to structure deals. I mean, that's a really common question. And, should we structure into corporate ownership? Those are all really, really great questions. They're very common questions, by the way. And some right from the bait, right? Just getting started, like, how do I even begin the game of investing or raising capital?
Yep. One common question, Patrick, is does the property come first, or does the capital come first? And that's something we spend a lot of time in Rain's success formula for raising capital. It's a question that a lot of people have. So I like that. And folks, there are people like Patrick says, people on here from coast to coast. So everyone's at a different spot. Everyone has a different requirement, and everyone's looking to achieve certain things. But it all comes down to typically these 8 following reasons, as Patrick and I, oh, hello, Montreal. I feel like I'm at home now, Patrick. I feel like I got a little support on this call. Most people, folks, these are the 8 common reasons why. Is number 1, they want to attract partner and they want to raise capital. So that's really, really important, obviously, number 1. Number 2, they want to grow their portfolio. A lot of people are coming up against the top performance of what their portfolio is doing. They want to grow to the next level, but they can't do it by themselves. Number 3, they want to increase their active income. So as we know in real estate, and Patrick, we spent a lot of time talking about this, real estate investors often come into the game of real estate looking for passive income. But what at one point or another, typically they start switching gears to active income. They want to make it a full-time thing or a full-time job, or they want to quit their job. Typically, just so you know, folks, quitting your job on passive income only at the beginning of your real estate career is one of the biggest failures investors make. Don't do that. But you can transition your portfolio and go after some active income properties and active income deals, which can help. So that's another thing. Job transition plan, as I just talked about, is big. This is a big one, Patrick, right now. Overcoming tougher lending conditions. Actually, the tough lending conditions, folks, have become so, we've almost normalized them, Patrick. Think to 18 months ago how it was on everyone's mind. Now people just expect tough lending conditions, but there are ways around that. There are ways to work with capital partners so you don't have to deal with tougher lending conditions, right, Patrick?
That you don't, and the whole point of having a joint venture partner is to actually bust through some of those barriers, because now you're better equipped to do it. You know, one of the things I want to just point out here is, you know, you've got some rest of your points there: minimizing risk and maximizing return on environment. You know, or return on investment. The thing that statistically, the average investor owns 1 to 3 properties. That's data statistic. And the reason they own 1 to 3 properties is because they run out of capital. Yep. And that is foundational. So for those of you who've maybe gone past that, good for you, well done. For those of you who are in that 1 to 3 property range, just know that it's very, very common. So you're in good company, you're not alone.
You're bringing up a great point, Patrick, and that actually takes us to you know, Rain has always talked about the 3-8-17 formula. 3 properties is financial security, 8 17s is financial certainty, and 17 properties is financial freedom. And that, in fact, is like you said, Patrick, by statistic, most people have 1 to 3 properties. But I would also say by statistic, most people want to be in the 8 to 17 categories, not the 1 to 3. Financial security is great, folks. If you have 1 to 3 properties, you are so far ahead of the average Canadian. You are so far ahead. You want to pat yourself on the back and give yourself a kudos. And even if you don't have a property, but you're here learning, trying to get to the next level, you still should pat yourself on the back because you're way ahead of everyone else. But we know that you're not happy with that. You don't want to settle with 3 or 2 or 1 or 4 or 5. You want to get to 10. You want to get to 15. You want to get to 17. And in today's tough lending environment, Patrick, you just can't get there without working with partners and working with capital partners and working with strategic partners. And especially if you want to get into the commercial zone, the multifamily zone, all that stuff lives. This is the heart of it, is raising capital and working with strategic partners.
Yeah, and just to kind of address a question that came up, units or doors. When we're referring to how many doors, 3, 8, 17, we're actually referring to keep it simple and clear, titles. So it could be, you know, it could be a 4-plex, but you've got 1 title. We call that a door. That's what we're referring to it in this context, by the way, just for clarity on a question that popped up.
Great point. So folks, as Patrick and I take you through this, this is going to take us roughly about an hour. So we hope that you have paper, have a pen. I'm telling you, Patrick and I are going to give you 4, these are my words. These are my French words, mega huge takeaways. We're going to give
really
you 4 mega huge. I mean, you're going to get literally, maybe there's probably 15 to 20 amazing takeaways in here, but they all fit into 4 major buckets, or 4 mega huge takeaways, as Patrick would put it. So I'm excited about this, PF.
Yeah, me too. And listen, I'm even taking notes, by the way. So I know that I'm going to be taking notes.
So get ready, folks. We're gonna jump into this. We're gonna go fast. We're gonna go furious. We got 53 slides to cover, so we got to get going.
Let's get to work.
As we just mentioned, Rain is in the business of financial certainty by design. That is our promise. That is what we sell. That is what we're going after. We want Canadians. There is no reason why Canadians, with there's so many real estate opportunities that are available out there every single day, and we know because we're in the field every day, there's no reasons Canadians have to struggle financially. There's just no reason. The one reason that's going to continually stop you as well as other people to not achieve your dreams, not achieve your podium of being a successful real estate investor is capital, money, upfront money. It's the biggest blocker to this game is I just don't have enough money to do 5 deals. So that's what this is all about. However, it's important, Patrick, that we let everybody know this isn't just about money, because money, you getting money, you being a good attractor of money, and you following the wealth attraction principles we're going to teach you at this event, it's not just a function of you knowing the principles. It's a function of you being a certain person. And Patrick, we're kind of opening up the door here to a pretty esoteric conversation, but it's such critical information, because people think if I do this, I'll get that. But that's not how the game of real estate is played, is it?
It isn't. And I've been part of the RAIN community since 2001, and I had literally had I'm going to say thousands, let's say many hundreds of conversations with RAIN members who either want to raise capital, but it's interesting the conversations I have. I've had many real estate investor RAIN members come to me and go, Patrick, I don't know what I got to do. I've got so much capital available to me. I don't even know where to place it. Like, I can't keep up with the deals that I need to do to actually place this capital. And so raising capital for them is like a no-brainer. And then I'm having conversation with other individuals that are going, Patrick, can you tell me how do I raise capital? How do you do it? And yet those individuals, credible, they're in the same room, they're learning the same stuff. What really is the difference? What is the understanding that people have to have and to gain? And there's lots of strategies and lots of tactics. And of course, that's what we teach, a lot of that stuff at JV, at the Raising Capital event. And we teach that in RAIN. But this is a really interesting conversation to have, is what is the difference?
So spoiler alert, folks, this is the number one mega huge takeaway, which is this real estate entrepreneur success cycle, which Patrick's going to take us through now, which is the secret weapon. If you understand this, folks, this is the secret weapon you need to raising capital. So Patrick, take us through it.
Okay, in the world of real estate investing now, in this, and I'll wrap it up at the end of this particular slide. But in the world of real estate investing, whether we're just starting out as a real estate investor or we're starting out raising capital, whatever we're doing, we start to have to realize that we're sitting in a comfort zone. I don't care where you're entering the game, we live in a comfort zone. It feels safe and we're in control. It's low risk because it's comfortable. We're not stretching. It's low reward, but ultimately it's also low satisfaction. We can hang out there. Some people are built for that, but here's the thing. You're even on this webinar. Some of you are RAIN members, which already sets you apart. So you're not okay with a low reward or low satisfaction. So what you start to do is you start to recognize that you're bumping up against the foundational, fundamental thing, which is you're bumping up against the fear that we live in, the stories that we tell ourselves. And it's really resistant, because this is really comfortable. If I want to go into learning how to raise capital, real estate investing, if I want to stretch myself, we have to acknowledge the resistance that we feel. And we become indecisive because we don't have a lot of self-confidence, and we can make up all sorts of excuses, all sorts of reasons why we should stay in that comfort zone. Sometimes we get caught in the analysis paralysis. And I'll say this about analysis paralysis, is that generally it's a way that we subconsciously trick ourselves into staying exactly where we are. Then we can't change, and we actually are worried what others will think. What we really want to do is start to step into the learning zone. Part of the reason that you're on this particular webinar tonight, where we're seeking. Now, this is pretty safe, by the way. This is still comfortable, but you're now seeking and looking to embrace some change. You want to try new things. You're looking for some leadership. You understand that you need to be able to create relationships. And how do you do that? I see some of the chats going on here, and there's some relationship building right in the chat room right here, which kind of cracks me up. So then we look and say, how do we train and how do we develop our new skills? And now I'm hopeful that you're listening with an open mind. You're seeking. And that's a great place to be, because in order to do that, the next phase of where you've got to go into is understanding the growth zone. And as we step into the growth zone, we start to be much clearer. We're actually creating. We are understanding the purpose, our own purpose, our business purpose. We take very focused action. We start to provide leadership because we're getting confident. We've gone through the learning and what we need to deliver on. We're surrounding ourselves, because this is so important. We understand that your real success lives in being part of a like-minded community. A culture not only of support, but a culture of collaboration, where people are sharing ideas, they're sharing learning and experiences. And that actually puts you into an environment that helps you succeed. Now, as you've gone through that fear zone, as you've gone through that learning zone, as you get into the growth zone, then and only then can you start to see opportunities. And that's where opportunities live. When you start to understand what's possible, because you've learned, because you've seen others do it, you've had conversation, you go, holy cow, I didn't know that was possible. Then you know it's possible. That's when opportunities show up. But every time you go to the next level, bam, you're into a new comfort zone, and the cycle starts again. And that's why we call it the real estate entrepreneur success cycle. Because guess what? When I bought my first door and I did my first joint venture, that was really uncomfortable. Then the next joint venture, the numbers got bigger, the expectations got higher. Well, that's a new comfort zone. Then all of a sudden it's multifamily. That's a new comfort zone, or a new comfort zone and fear zone that I'm bumping up against. So JG, that's kind of the overall of it. But if everybody on this call can just place themselves in this conversation, it will open up a door of what you need to do and where you're at, and shine a light on it, JG.
Well, Patrick, what's super interesting here is that there's a lot of people they're on this very call, and I know because I was once one of them, and you were once one of them, and who just think, if I could just meet that one person, the one right person, if I could just have a few more contacts, and they're looking to do instead of looking to be. And I know it's a big statement, but folks, if you're taking notes, you should jot that down. Don't focus necessarily on what to do, but focus on how to be, which is what this conversation is about. It will open up all of the doors necessary here.
This is such, I know we're going to drag out, I don't want to drag this out, but it's such an important slide. And it's one of the big, mega, huge takeaways. And the reason it is number one, is both of you and I, as real estate investors, but as educators, as coaches, as leaders of the RAIN community, we've literally talked and seen hundreds of RAIN member investors. When they get this, they start to realize that it isn't about what you do. You ask yourself this question. It's a very common question. So I didn't invent it, but here's the question, and it's so important. Who do you have to be to achieve the result you're looking to achieve? Not what do you have to do. Who do you have to be, and who do you have to become to achieve the result you want to achieve?
Now, Patrick, another major takeaway that we're going to cover tonight, and folks, this is for a lot of people listening to this. These are if you've never heard this before, and this isn't hitting you like wow, then I'd encourage you to think you're maybe not listening close enough, because this is powerful stuff. And a lot of people, like I said, are often focused on the wrong thing when it comes to raising capital. And you just cannot raise millions of dollars of capital. Can you raise 50 grand? Sure. Can you raise 100 grand? Sure. Can you raise millions of dollars of capital by focusing on what to do? No, you cannot. I can tell you that by experience. But Patrick, the other thing that's really critical, and I know that we're big about talking about this at Rain. And folks, for those of you who don't know Rain, Rain's been doing this for 28 years. Rain is Canada's #1 source and resource for real estate education coast to coast. I mean, 151,000 investors rely on Rain to be the market leader. And one of the things that sets Rain apart is our discussion about the 4 dimensions of trust, Patrick, because when you're raising capital, you have to be the epitome of trust. I mean, people are trusting you with their livelihood. People are trusting you with their life savings. People are trusting you with their kids' future. They're trusting you with their generation's work. So, Patrick, how does someone commit to that and truly understand these dimensions of trust so that it can translate into raising capital?
So this is so important, JG, and you've set this up perfectly, because in the context, first off, I want to say that Rain members, if you're on this call, you've seen this before, but I'll tell you, many of you have, but this is so important, and we're just going to keep hammering it until everybody gets it, because it's so important. We've seen it, we know it. Now, the 4 dimensions of trust is built through the understanding of, number 1, how we filter people that we communicate with and how people filter us. And we think about the 4 dimensions of trust. Often what we think when it comes to trust, really what we want to know is that person telling the truth, right? That's kind of where, ultimately, that's where people get stuck, because they're going truth. But that is a very key dimension of trust. But when we expand on what trust is all about, it's not just about, is that person telling the truth? Because here's the thing. The person can be telling the truth about something, but then we have to ask, is that person reliable? Are they going to do what they say they're going to do? And that is a dimension of trust. So whether you are consciously thinking it, you probably are, but somewhere subconsciously when you're having a conversation with somebody, oh yeah, he's very trustworthy, but I'm not sure he's reliable. Is he going to show up on time? Is he actually going to do what he says he's going to do? Is he going to return my calls? And we've all had that experience with somebody who is not reliable for showing up on time, just as an example, right? But then we start to question that. That's a flag of trust. So if you're raising capital, guess what you're being judged and assessed on? Are you telling the truth? Are you being reliable? But here's another big one, and that is, are you competent? Because somebody could be telling the truth. Somebody could be reliable. That could be you, by the way. You're telling the truth. You're reliable. And are you competent? Can you actually pull it off? Now, here's the underlying message for you on this call, and that is this. You may not feel that you're competent today. So in other words, you're raising capital, and although the message is that, yes, I can do this, yes, I can do that, do you really believe in yourself? And we'll talk a little bit about that later on, because you have to know that you're competent. You have to trust that you are competent. So within the 4 dimensions of trust, especially when you're raising capital and just starting out, are you competent, and do you believe you are, and can you pull it off? And then, of course, one of the most important, because people will overlook a lot of things if they know you care. Do you have the heart? Are you really, truly committed to their success equally? And does it really matter to you, or are you just looking for the next check to get the next deal done? And when you can show up and truly care, sincerely, then people can go, okay, well, I can work with you while you learn and get competent. Okay, they can have that little bit of room for that if they believe you care. And so this is so important to understand, number 1, how you're assessing people. Number 2, how people are assessing you, JG.
Yeah, and I think, Patrick, you're bringing up some great points here, which is, these are called the 4 dimensions of trust. And trust isn't black and white. It's not there one day and not there the next day. It erodes over time. And all of you can remember a time when you trusted someone, and there was lots of trust there. Often relationships start with very little trust. They morph quickly into lots of trust, and then it quickly and it can erode from there. My point is this: any violation of any dimension of trust in any amount slowly erodes the trust, just like water erodes the beach, if you will, as an example. Right? But all of this, Patrick, is really connected to people's ethos, isn't it?
Yeah, and I really talk a lot about ethos. And for those of you who maybe don't understand or don't know the definition of ethos, to keep it simple.
And Patrick, if I could just jump in, I feel like we're having a conversation with a big group of people, and they're all chatting at the back. Folks, leave the chat box alone. Pay close attention to this. This isn't a forum for you to be sharing deals. This is a forum for you to be paying close attention to what we're sharing here. So if we could just get your attention, that'd be great. Sorry, Patrick, back to you.
And I think that's a really good point. But this is exactly why I'm going to tell you right out. I'll just, for those of you who are trying to get a deal done in a chat room on a webinar, it's exactly why you struggle with raising capital. Every so often, you'll get a hook. But really, do you think you're going to raise $1 million on a webinar? Now, this is something that I'm going to talk to you. This ethos slide is perfect. So for those of you who are distracted trying to do deals, quit it. And I'm going to get you really clear on this ethos. And this is something to understand. The ethos is about character. And it's so important to understand how you show up, what your character is. Is it intentional? So when we talk about Rain and our ethos and our team, and when I talk to JG and Jennifer and the rest of our team, they know our ethos. And so what I'm going to say is this, is that part of the ethos is the energy that you bring to the environment that you walk into. So part of that energy is, what am I bringing to the table? So in this context, are you here to bring attention? Are you here to listen and to be fully engaged, or are you here to take? What am I getting out of this webinar? Oh, geez, guess what? Maybe I can do something here. I'm going to call you on it because that is exactly the takers, and I'm a little bit passionate about it because this is where I see people fail when it comes to raising capital. I'm not here to create relationship. I say, can I get some money out of this deal? You're here to learn how to raise capital. We're here to teach you, and I'm telling you that is one big one, is the ethos. What do I get? Not what do I bring to the table? And trust. Now this is, as we know right now, is about the 4 dimensions. So trust isn't just a simple word called trust. There's 4 dimensions to trust. How are you showing up? Do we care? We talked about it. So when you start to actually wrap your ethos around the 4 dimensions of trust, how you show up, how you occur is incredibly important. But then it becomes, who am I? Am I really this? Or is this just, am I generating this? Because on top of having energy, on top of trust, on top of heart is ownership. In other words, you have to take responsibility for not only how you occur, but also how you deliver on the trust, on how much you care. You got to own that. There are no excuses for it. 100% ownership. And then soul. When it talks about it, soul can be all sorts of things. I used to say soul is who you are. You're wrapping your arms around. You're actually at a cellular level understanding how you're showing up, the energy, the trust, the heart, the ownership. It's soul. Some will say, well, there's some spirituality in that. And of course there is, whatever it is for you. But ultimately it becomes about who you are being. So important.
Yeah, very well said, Patrick. Very, very well said. And our goal today, folks, for you is to understand this. And this is, we call this the law of possibilities, which is knowing the possibilities allows you to recognize the opportunities. And Patrick, so many people in our particular world, they can't recognize the opportunities that are literally right in front of their nose because they don't understand the possibilities. So they're searching and searching and searching, and they're trying to get all these hooks into these various things, but they just don't understand this law of possibilities. And as we take you through this, this is starting to pop up. This is starting to show up for you. You will start to see things differently, and that's what you need in order to raise capital. You will not be able to solve the problem of raising capital with the same energy that you're at right now. Just impossible.
And JG, just because sometimes I know people get stuck on this little one a little bit, law of possibilities and then not being able to see the opportunity. I'm going to give it my own personal example from almost at least 20 years ago, which was 20 years ago, I didn't know what a vendor take-back mortgage was, okay? VTB seems silly to me now, but I still didn't know how to spell real estate back then. So the point of the conversation is this: in a RAIN member meeting, and I've shared this story often, but at a RAIN member meeting, I happened to be talking with 4 or 5 other investors in a group, and somebody said VTB, and I said, well, what's a VTB? And they told me what it was, where the vendor actually is the bank, and you don't have to go to the bank for financing. And I went, wow, that's really interesting. That was the extent of the conversation. Guess what? The next deal I did was a bungalow south side of Edmonton. I still don't know. I just sold that bungalow a couple months ago. But the point is, I bought it with a VTB. And guess why? Because now I knew it was possible. The opportunity presented itself. I would have gone to that house without knowing what that VTB is. I would have never, ever proposed that idea.
Well, and another perfect example of that, Patrick, is in our program that I'll talk about the program at the end, folks. But one of the amazing tools we've created is a matrix for you to determine how much in a joint venture relationship, in a co-venture deal, how much they should own and how much you should own. And a lot of people default to 50-50, which is, by the way, another huge mega takeaway, big mistake. If you're defaulting to 50-50, you're showing your immaturity as it relates to it.
Yeah.
So, but there's a process. You can't just go at it and say, well, I'm going to take 20% and they can take 80%, or I'll take 80 and they can take 20. The point is we've designed a matrix to help you determine based on what you're bringing to the deal and based on what they're bringing to the deal. But Patrick, just bringing this up, there's a lot of people sitting on this call that thought, well, I didn't know you could do anything but 50-50. I thought all deals had to be 50-50.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of the law of possibilities in action.
Well, it's that's so true. But, I want to go back because I want to just link it back to one thing, which was in the 4 dimensions of trust. Guess where the biggest trust breaks down? In ourselves. Right? Mm-hmm. Stephen Covey wrote the book, The Speed of Trust. And one of the things that is such a great lesson in that book is we don't trust ourselves. We actually compromise. We lie to ourselves all the time. I'm going to go on a diet. Well, that comes off. I'm going to quit drinking soft drinks. Well, that comes off. I'm going to quit eating chocolate chip cookies. Well, that falls off. We can't actually trust ourselves. Now, here's the point of all of this. Is then if we don't trust ourselves in our competence level, guess what? We will actually compromise a little bit to justify it. Individuals who are incredibly competent, who know how to raise capital, know exactly what they're going to deliver on, they go, nope, this is the deal. If you want, awesome, I'd love to have you part of it, but this is the deal. It's not 50-50, it's whatever else it is. And the point is that because they really trust themselves to deliver, because they've surrounded themselves with the right people, they've given themselves the right education, and that's such an important point to make.
And that trust, Patrick, you talk about the trust in yourself, it leads to the belief you have in yourself. And folks, another major takeaway here is doesn't matter what you've really accomplished up until this point. You're all coming with different different belief systems and different levels of belief within your own skill set. Yeah. But one of the things that we found, Patrick, the last time we did this program, which is just 2 weeks ago in Vancouver, I was completely blown away, and I know you were as well, with people that when they left the program at the end of the one-day boot camp, they were just blown away. They had so much more confidence in themselves. They had so much more belief in themselves, and that will translate directly to them doing deals because now they know what they bring to the table. They know what is required of them. They know what they bring. They know how much they're worth. And as a result, that changes the entire game. And that's not a to-do. That's not a what you're doing game. That's a what you're being game.
It is 100% of what you're being. And it's so important to recognize that. And as we get into the 3rd or 4th, whatever it is, make a huge point that you got to write down and take. We'll actually speak to that a little bit in terms of how we're being. So where are we going from this slide here? Jay?
Well, this slide here, Patrick, we're talking about the law of possibilities. And another way to explain the law of possibilities, because that's maybe an esoteric statement, is if you had a tool belt on and the only thing, folks, you had in your tool belt was a hammer, well, what would everything look like? Everything would look like a nail. right? But the minute you have different tools, all of a sudden possibilities open up. You could fix all kinds of other things. You can fix all kinds of other problems and solve all kinds of other issues that you couldn't have solved if you only had a hammer. And that's one of the key benefits of working with by raising capital and working with strategic partners is it really allows you to have more tools in your tool belt. And this in turn, Patrick, allows people to stop missing millions of dollars. Because I can tell you right now, there are people on this call that have missed millions of dollars, just like you would have missed that one VTB deal, which has made you millions of dollars, just that one deal. Think of the people, and there's people sitting here right now thinking, I know I'm leaving a ton of money on the table, and they just don't recognize the possibilities because they don't know what they don't know yet.
They don't know what they don't know, and that's so incredibly true. It's interesting. I had a guest on my podcast that I recorded today, and he has an MBA, and he's still very young, very accomplished. Like, you're gonna love the podcast. For those of you who follow along on the Everyday Millionaire podcast, his will be coming up in the future. But one of the things that he said was really kind of cool today. Because he got his MBA, and then he gets into real estate and does this whole thing around that. But he's often asked, was there value in that MBA? And he says, I've had to reflect on it and go, I don't know if I could say that I used that education, but there was probably 6 things that I took away from my MBA. But he says, what those 6 things have done for me is epic. So it wasn't like, did I have to have the MBA? Probably not, but I needed those six things to actually achieve what I wanted to achieve. And that has made him millions of dollars. It's like that VTB went on to do other things that really changed the scope and the landscape for me of doing deals. Just that one thing.
Just the one thing. So folks, I see all the questions coming in. Just so you know, keep sending the questions and we'll answer as many as we can at the end, as many as possible. Excuse me, Patrick. My gosh. So let's take a pause now, Patrick, because as we know, people are left brain, they're right brain. And right now we've been talking about being a lot. And as a result of being a lot, the other side of the equation that people often sometimes miss is, okay, how does JVs apply? Can I do any kind of deal with a JV? So Patrick, I put together a couple of slides in terms of different strategies and how to use joint venture capital and the kinds of returns, because there's people on this webinar tonight, and people watching live, and people that are going to watch this replay that have done lots of JVs. They've used $50,000 here, $100,000, or a couple $100,000 here, and they've done 3, 4, 5 deals, 1, 2, 3 deals. There's others on this that are saying, how the hell do you spell joint venture anyways? Is there a hyphen? Is there not a hyphen? By the way, you don't actually need to know that answer, folks, because I still don't need to know that answer. I've raised millions of dollars, so it's not actually an important question. But the point is, I want to show everyone, I want to take people through 4 different strategies and how to use joint venture capital, how to use raising capital in order to work with that money. So let's just go through it. How's that sound, Patrick?
So JG, let me interrupt just really quickly. I want to share a story because it gives some context and a nice transition into this. Now, what JG is going to walk you through in this next set of slides is some real kind of some strategies that work in joint ventures, how to make money off them, all that stuff. But I can tell you this, I just recently had, I've had 2 or 3 recently, but one particular stands out, a conversation with a RAIN member, happens to be a RAIN member, actually quite accomplished. And as we go into this, so we talked about how you're being and how you're showing up. She has presented 25 deals, like literally put 25 different deals over the course of time in front of she's put a deal in front of 25 different joint venture partners. Good deals, give them the pro forma, very professional, by the way, extremely professional, very pragmatic and all the rest of it. And she's had 25 no's. We had the conversation. I gave her some tips, some insights that I gained in my conversation with her, gave her some, and I just recently had some contact with her that said she finally got a yes. And it was not about the deals, because the deal was awesome. It was a good deal, but people kept saying no. And she realized it's how she was showing up And all she did was have a very slight shift. And it was like the next one or the next second person that she presented to, she got the deal. So that's why this is, because as JG presents these deals, you'll say, well, wow, these are really cool. If I had deals like that, I'd raise capital too. That's not the case necessarily.
No.
So
that's a great point, Patrick. If you're writing notes down, folks, and I hope you all are, because now I see you're paying close attention. That's great. Is people don't invest in deals, people invest in you.
Yep.
People don't invest in deals. People don't invest in properties. People invest in you. You're going to place that money in a property. This isn't about the property. I'm going through the mechanics here to show you some of the ROI stuff. And by the way, a lot of people think, oh, JG, you must have taken some of your best deals for these examples. These are the numbers that are probably some of the lowest. I'm trying to make it as believable as possible, Patrick. Otherwise it'd be astronomical.
Ontario's had a good run, let's face it.
All right, so here's here's how a buy and hold would work. So here's an example of a buy and hold that we've done. Purchased this property for $483,000. We invested $50,000 of JV capital into it. It's appreciated at $100,000 and generated $30,000 of cash flow. At the same time, has done $50,000 of mortgage pay down, and that all happened, folks, in 5 years. Now, of that $50,000, let's just say this was Patrick's $50,000. That $50,000 of JV capital would have returned 180% ROI. Now, Patrick, how do you like 180% ROI?
Really?
Do you like
only 180? That would be awesome.
So that's good. So let's look at, here's another one. I see other people have asked this question already, is can you use joint venture funds to renovate? And this strategy here, fix, flip, and refi, is one that we use a lot of joint venture capital on. And here's an example. So this is a property we purchased. It was in disarray. We rebuilt the whole thing. We bought it for $257,000. We put $30,000 into the renovations. It reappraised for $350,000 just 2 months, 8 weeks, about 10 weeks later. So we pulled $280,000 out. So the only amount of money I had to leave in the deal, the only amount of JV capital I had to leave in it, Patrick, let's call it your money in this example, would be $17,000. And the ROI on this, folks, was crazy. If I consider the cash on cash return of 35%, plus appreciation, plus mortgage pay down, we're looking at a 474% ROI. So Patrick, in this case, your $17,000 would have returned 226%. You like? You dig?
That's a pretty good deal. Well done. Well done, man.
So I'm going to come back to the beginning. Using joint venture capital for buy and holds, absolutely possible. Using joint venture capital for fix, flip, and refi, absolutely. Using joint venture capital to renovate, absolutely. Using joint venture capital to fix, flip, and then sell, and this is that active income component I was talking about. The property on the left is what we purchased. The property on the right is what we sold. And here are the details. So we purchased it for $260,000. We took $20,000 of renovations, $18,000 for holding and closing costs. So total, we're into it for $298,350. We sold it for $345,000. So $46,000 profit. And Patrick, the original $52,000 of JV capital we needed returned 44%. By the way, that took 4 months. So on an annualized rate, that's about 170% a year. Not too shabby.
Pretty good.
So for fix, flip, and sell, great strategy to use other people's money. And by the way, we don't like that term, other people's money. We'll talk about that after, but we're not fans of using that term, other people's money. It sounds so cold, Patrick, when people say that, oh, I'm using other people's money. This is people's livelihoods. I would much rather have a partner, have an ally, have a strategic partner that I'm working with, that I'm looking to make them wealthier. I'm looking to increase their generational wealth versus than just using other people's money. That's my perspective. Patrick, what's yours?
And I agree. That takes away that relational equity that you try and build with somebody, the trust factor. Does somebody care? When you start talking about other people's money, you actually are shutting down the I care factor, right? And it's so important to understand the I care factor. We go back, one of the things that we did, because I've learned over the years and have put it to practice in raising capital with, from your family. How many people go out, well, I know, Uncle Joe's got a ton of dough, but he won't invest with me. And my sister and my mom and dad, and all these stories about family who aren't investing. And there's an expectation there that because that they love you and that you're family, that they should trust you. Well, guess what? They don't. That's the underlying. Now, whether or not they're brave enough to tell you that, but there is a way to approach a family member, and that's one of the strategies we teach at the Raising Capital event. There is a way to actually approach a family member to get a yes, a more likely yes, and it's not all that complicated, but it does involve caring.
100%. So this is another example. Assignments is another example of creating active income. We use joint venture capital for doing assignment deals. So this property called Chestnut, we purchased it for $130,000. We assigned it for $160,000. It cost us $5,000 for closing and holding. So it's a $25,000 profit. And that took 3 weeks, Patrick. Now, the only amount of capital required to do this deal was $3,000 because that's the deposit we paid when we put the deal together. So that's a 400% ROI, Patrick. And I bring this up because we're all going somewhere with this, folks, which is back to how you have to be versus what you have to do. You need to understand the benefits of the joint venture partner. When it comes to raising capital, when it comes to working with joint venture partners, when it comes to working with strategic partners, you are doing them an immense favor. Look at these returns on investments for them. That's incredible. You're talking about creating financial freedom for people, and you really need to get that. You, as the person raising the capital, if you don't intrinsically believe this and understand it at your core, you will have a difficult time raising capital. You're going to bump up against the fear zone. You're going to bump up against the learning zone. You're going to bump up against these different growth zones because you don't understand what you're actually doing for people. Now, for you as the person raising the capital, the great news is financial freedom lives within the realm of infinite ROI. And when you're not putting in any of your own money in or very little of your money, have you ever done a spreadsheet, Patrick, where the return on investment becomes all the your ROI line becomes all error because you put in $0. So as a result, they can't even calculate the return on investment. So we've all done this where you end up putting $1 just to see what it would be, and it's like 17 million % ROI or something crazy, right? So that's infinite ROI, and that's where financial freedom lives, folks, because then you could put your capital to work as well. You can put your capital to work in other deals. You can do more, you could be more, you can have more when you're doing it this way. And all of this, Patrick, all comes back to one fundamental difference, which is perspective. Most real estate investors do not think like entrepreneurs. They don't think like business people. They think like homeowners. They're not trained professionals, Patrick. And I know you're super passionate about this pyramid of treating your real estate investment like your business, because Rain has been talking about this now for 28 years. And this is truly what sets people apart in Rain as well as Rain members, but it's truly what can set you apart if you're looking to raise capital. Without this, very difficult.
This is, of course, one of the cornerstones of Rain. Treat your real estate investing like a business. And fundamentally, how we show up when we're actually raising capital, there's a couple things to understand here. Number one is when you show up and you actually get what this structure means, then you're showing up, number one, as credible. You're showing up as competent. You're showing up as understanding what it means to this individual who may be investing their capital. I want to go back a little bit and just touch on a couple things, because in this context, for those of you who are not familiar with the time, money, knowledge, focus matrix, when we go back to that deal that JG found for $3,000 and it was a return on investment and he only held it and he flipped it and all the rest of that, there's a lot of people going, yeah, well, I don't know, I could never find those deals, and why would anybody do that? And there's all sorts of stories around it. But here's the fundamental that I don't want to step over. When you treat it when you treat your real estate investing like a business, you actually attract individuals who, guess what? They have money. And one of the things they don't have is they don't have time and they don't have knowledge. So you're actually attracting them because you're being the bird dog. You're going out and you're finding those deals because you have some talent and you have some time, you have some knowledge, you have the energy that you want to bring the deal to the table in a really powerful way, which fills their value called, I've got money, I want to invest in real estate, but I don't have time and I don't have knowledge. But here's something that I want everybody to consider. We often talk about time management, and it isn't time management that we should be really talking about, it's focus management. One of the things that JG doesn't even know he does well, I don't think, is he is focus management. How he puts his time together is how he does it, but he's a very, very focused individual. When he decides that, that's his focus. And then there's no room for other conversations. There's no room for other stuff to come in. And the focus management part of it is when you start treating it like a business, that's your focus. And that's how you show up and that's how you occur. And that's why it's so incredibly important to have this foundation. It's like when your focus is on the ethos, who you are, who you're being, how you're showing up, the commitment you are, what you're bringing to the table, not what you're getting from the agreement, it shows up different, but that's very intentional. It's very focused.
And I think, Patrick, you said that, I mean, that's so amazingly well said. You said something interesting there, and you're right. There are people on this call thinking right now, well, I can't get a deal like that. Only a guy like JG can get a deal like that. I don't have those deals in my city. He must have did that in Timmins, Ontario. Where the hell do you buy a property for 130 grand? By the way, folks, that was in Hamilton. So just so you know. So my point, Patrick, is that's the law of possibilities in action. If any of those thoughts have crossed your mind, folks, listen, you're just hurting yourself by not being able to see the possibilities, being able to see the opportunities. And I get it, Patrick, man, I so get it, because I was once that way. I once thought, how the hell do they do this? It's not possible. I don't understand trades like they do. I don't understand. I can't swing a hammer. Boys, you don't want me swinging a hammer. I'll tell you that right now. But that's the law of possibilities in action right now. So you got to be careful on what kind of thoughts are entering your mind, because I'll tell you this, it is possible. It happens every freaking day in every freaking real estate market across this country.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. As a national organization and thousands of real estate investors.
Michael says, this is great. Michael's challenging me right now. What year? Last year, Michael, like 2019. This is only a couple months ago, dude.
Yeah, right. So, but there it is, right? And that is the thing about all of this, is you look at this, treating your real estate investing like a business. Now you see these building blocks there, and really, if you double click on any of those, it expands into a way bigger conversation. There's a lot of infrastructure, there's a lot of process. But most importantly is that you have to understand that when you've got this kind of thought process in place, you start to understand that those around you who see this, and you recognize what's possible, because people are living this. RAIN members and real estate investors are doing this every day. And guess what they're doing? They're doing deals. So somebody says, well, I've run I saw a comment going, well, I've got 5 properties and I've hit the bank, and now that I'm out of deals. Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty common these days. You got to 5, good for you. Lots of people only get to 3. But that's exactly why raising capital and understanding how to structure a joint venture deal becomes really paramount to you growing your real estate portfolio.
100%. So I love this, Patrick. We got to keep moving, because otherwise we're gonna go at this forever. So folks, attitude is everything. You need to understand that they need you. People with money need you. And Patrick, you and I have had this conversation many times, because you're at the opposite end. I mean, I'm a young guy. I'm hustling. I'm building my real estate portfolio. I'm building my real estate business. I'm doing cool stuff. You're 20 years ahead of me. So you're sitting there, and we've talked about this dichotomy oftentimes. And it's not just you and me. There are plenty of people in the RAIN room. There are plenty of people at the Acre events that are saying, actually, this was shocking to me, Patrick. Half the people that were at the last Raising Capital event in Vancouver half of them were there to learn this system so that they knew how to invest with other people. Half of them had the money in hand and they wanted to give it away to someone else.
Yeah, we were surprised by that. We didn't know that. We didn't expect that. That's funny.
Yeah. So and that's now knowing that we're gonna get a bunch more people. There's a limit to the class size, guys. There's a limit to the class size. So the fact is they need you. People with money, the returns are so low. Forbes, I mean, every institution has published reports on the low rates of return that the average people are generating in their RSPs, that they're generating out of the bank, that they're generating in these. They're just not generating returns. I mean, look at the numbers here: 0.6% over a 10-year period, 0.7 over 20 years, 0.7 over 30 years. It's crazy. And the fact is this is leading to and when I say rich people, I'm not talking about like the super ultra wealthy with 10, 50, $100 million net worth. I'm talking about the average individual who's got a couple $100,000 in RSP, maybe $1 million in RSP. These people are hoarding their money, and it's frustrating a big part of the market. And the reason for that is they don't trust people. Back to that trust. They do not trust the stock market. They don't trust other people to do it, so they're hoarding this money. Check out this stat, folks. Households are holding a record $303.9 billion of cash. This is average household, by the way, and this is in North America. This is a quantum leap from $15 billion they held only 10 years ago. So we're talking about a 20x, 20 times more cash on hand today than 10 years ago. That's a mega difference. That's what I'm saying, folks. They absolutely need you. Absolutely need you. And that, Patrick, comes back to that perspective. You can't be thinking about this from a homeowner perspective. You got to think like a real estate entrepreneur.
You really do. And you make such a good point, JG, is they do need you. But I'm going to just point something out that's really obvious. 300 billion out in the market. And the point is this: there's lots of money available. And if you're not raising capital and you're not able to raise capital, we go back to it all the time. There's the functional part of raising capital, right? Once I've got the money, or once somebody says, yes, I want to invest in you, there's the mechanics of it. There's the legal stuff that you got to do, and there's the reporting. But if you're treating it like a business, guess what? You've got the right lawyer in place. You've got the right accountant in place. You've got the realtor in place. You're showing up credible and competent because all of the deals you're doing are transparent. Like, that's all part of being the kind of the vacuum that is attracting the money that you want to attract. There's lots out there. That's obvious. Now it's about how do you show up and why do people want to invest with you? What is it about you that they go, wow, this guy or this girl, I'm all in. This is very, very interesting. I want to do this. I trust them. Yeah,
very, very well said, Patrick. And folks, this is about more than, this is why we call it the RAIN success formula. It's a success formula. It's a turnkey system. This isn't about us teaching you one or two things and you going out there and doing what you got to do. This isn't about doing, it's about being. We've been saying that a lot so far today. And this is about a turnkey system, and there's several parts to it. I'll go through it because we're getting a lot of questions about it. So I will go through what it all includes. You're going to absolutely love it. And it's got a huge track record, Patrick. I mean, this program's already raised $350 million, and it's a turnkey system. This isn't, we're not straight off the turnip truck here, Patrick. We've been doing this for a long time and showed a lot of people how to raise a lot of money. And this is the next opportunity for everyone on this call listening to take us up on this. It's a whole system. I'll take you through it in a second. But mark down April 21st, 2020 in Toronto. Now, don't be afraid. If you're not in Toronto, it's okay. We're also going to live stream the event. It's much better, though, if you could come to Toronto. It's a way better experience, like way better. But if you can't, and if you absolutely want to take us up on this, if you absolutely want to raise capital, then you could do the live stream. So here are the different components, Patrick, to this turnkey system. There's three different major components. The first one is an immersive event, which we talked about April 21st, 2020. Second part is extensive resources. And the third part is a supportive environment. So let's start with the first part, which is the immersive event. So in our events, Patrick, and you know, it's myself, just so everybody knows, myself, Patrick Francie, right there, that good looking dude right there, and also Jennifer Hunt. It's the three of us that conduct this event. These are small groups. We're talking about under 50 people. This is not like one of our acre events where we have 500 plus people. These are small, immersive, intensive groups. We do provide lunch, that's included. You're going to develop an instant networking community, and I can't stress enough. Oh, thank you, Dorothy. Dorothy says the seminar, Vancouver seminar was awesome. I highly recommend going. Thanks, Dorothy. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
You're going to develop an instant network and community. And this is important, Patrick, because half of the people that come want to raise capital. The other half have capital and want to invest it properly with other people. That makes for an interesting dynamic in the room. So you're gonna develop an instant networking community, folks. There will be activities and role playing. You're going to be learning through example. This is not, I repeat, this is not you sitting in a classroom and listening to us talk all day. It's very, very involved, very, very immersive, and you're actually getting in there. There will be some engaging presentations. We're going to be sharing our expert boots on the ground, sharing our secrets, but there's full of exercise and activities. Patrick, there's probably an exercise and activity we're together for about 8 to 10 hours, folks. And I think there's 5 to 6 activities and exercises. You're getting deep here. You're getting right in there, including panel discussions. All that happens April 21st, 2020 in Toronto, or via live stream, and you can watch it from the comfort of your underwear or whatever is comfortable for you. So some of the things what's that, Patrick?
It's okay. Go.
So some of the things we're going to teach you, folks, is we're going to teach you the 7-step system to raising capital that Rain has put together. This 7-step system, like I said, has generated $350 million. Anything from understanding the joint venture money process to becoming a student of wealth attraction. This is about attracting people to you, not you chasing people. Very, very important. How to build your brand, how to find and filter, how to write the business proposal, how to do the pre-deal documents, how to make sure you do the legal, financial, and the joint venture structures. We had questions on here, for example, like, you know, Patrick, a lot of people want to know, do I incorporate every JV? How do I structure the deal? Who owns what? Who goes on title? Do they get financing? Do I go on financing? Folks, if we had to answer every one of those questions, we'd literally be here all night long, because the answer is it depends. Mm-hmm. There's no one answer. It depends on what you're looking to achieve. It depends on the deal. It depends on all kinds of things. And we've put together amazing documents, amazing tools, amazing matrix to show you for you to make the right decision at the right time. And then number 7 part of this 7-step, this is the biggest one, Patrick. I think people coming in don't understand, but they soon understand, which is the relationship management component of JVs, because you are truly in partnership with them. You're in business with these people. You need to manage that relationship. You need to avoid the pitfalls. You need to manage for success and manage for failure. How do you protect yourself? How do you protect them? All of this is covered, Patrick, in this. Anything to add to that?
No, I think you've covered it really well. And you know, back to the relationship management about, you know, by the time you finish the workshop for the day, you'll understand one fundamental thing, that when somebody walks up to you, or when you're starting to have a conversation and there could be $100,000 or $1 million on the table, you may say, no, I don't want your money. And thank you very much, but this time it doesn't work. And that's because you have a really clear understanding of what the deal is, what you're bringing to the table, what it needs to look like. And this person with that money may not align with you. And that's such an important lesson to get. Whereas early on, if you're doing it and wanting to, you know, in future troubles, guess what you do? You go for the money and not understand what's behind that.
And Patrick, you know, I'm just reminded of even if you're doing joint ventures now, folks, you know, in the world of real estate, every one success we have is magnified, and every one mistake we make is magnified. if you could just pick up one trick, one tip, one thing that's going to catapult you to the next level, it's worth it. You'll see the price. We're pretty much giving it away. It's crazy. On the flip side, if this allows you to avoid one mistake that you otherwise would have made, that mistake is going to cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you'll avoid it by going through it. So next, the other part is we're also going to take you through our proprietary joint venture process flowchart on how to find and filter, how to structure deals, how to do an elevator pitch, how to present the deal, how to structure the deal. All of that, folks, is covered in this program. It's unbelievable. And it's not just, and I'll show you in a minute, this isn't about us just teaching you this in a day, you trying to retain as much as possible and then blowing your brains out because you forget most of what we talk about, because that's going to happen. We know that. So we're going to teach you, we're going to show you, we have a 4-step system to make sure this doesn't happen. The third part is all the legal templates and legal documents. This is all included. Just this itself, Patrick, is a mega savings. I mean, just the legal fees that are being saved here are worth tens of thousands of dollars, just that in itself. So the 4 parts to make sure that you get the most out of this turnkey program as possible, and to make sure that you don't go to an event and then forget everything, is this. Number 1, you get a detailed workbook manual and you get to keep it. Number 2, you do get a 1-day boot camp. It's training, it's role playing. You're in a safe space. You're going to be able to practice, and that takes place on April 21st. And number 3, you're going to get access to a step-by-step online program. This is going to allow you to review, revisit, recalibrate. You're going to be able to watch videos. You're going to be able to get all the downloads and all the templates. You get this not for 1 year, not for 1 month. You get access to this forever. This is yours. It's online and you get it. So this is something that, because Patrick, people have to review. People are going to do a deal this year, and then they may not do another joint venture deal for another 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, 6 years. You have to review and recalibrate and figure out what you did right and what you did wrong and how to make it better again. And then the last part, and I'll have you jump in, Patrick, is we also include a 90-day no-fail follow-up where Patrick, myself, and Jennifer Hunt are on a call with all the graduates of the program 90 days after the event, where you get to pepper us with all the questions, because by that point you've tried stuff. By that point you've been through the workbook manual. By that point you've been through the intensive boot camp. And by that point you've had access to the step-by-step online program and you've taken action. You've done stuff. So then it's a question of what's working, what's not working, what are you doing right, what are you doing wrong, how can we help you overcome those obstacles, how can we get you to where you got to go. And that happens with that 90-day follow-up, Patrick.
Yeah, and I want to point out a couple things here is that this program, so we wrote, Don Campbell at the time wrote the book, Joint Venture Secrets. He did that in collaboration with Russell Westcott, many years ago. This is brand new, by the way. This is updated 2020. This is an epic workbook. We put all of that stuff on steroids compared to what it was, and we really brought it up to speed and up to date. Here's a fundamental about this, is that our success as the Real Estate Investment Network, my personal success, JG's personal success, lives in your success. Now, that may sound cliche or a little bit hokey, but that's just the truth of it. We really, really believe in you. And here's the interesting part of it. What we've come to discover is that you being on this webinar, for example, is actually a first step in saying, oh, hey, listen, these guys are taking the time. There is some leaders in this group. There are some individuals that are really, and then when you go to the next level where you actually show up, the minute you walk in the door, we go, we believe in you. Like we really, really, that belief system is so incredibly important. And we probably believe in you more than you believe in yourself. But by the end of the day, we'll get you believing in what you're doing, and we're going to support you. And that's why that follow-up and all that work we do is so incredibly important.
Yeah, totally. Very, very well said, Patrick. So folks, I only got about 4 slides left, so just hang in there for another 2-3 minutes. I know you're dying to see the price. The public price, just so you know, is $3,095. Don't worry, we're going to cut you a super amazing deal today. But we wanted to show you, we just did this event like 2 weeks ago. We wanted to show you some of the people's reaction in the crowd. You're going to see from the from the event. It's got so much energy. It's small. It's intimate. It's action oriented. Let's just have a listen to see what this person thought real quick for a second.
Signed up because I just started a joint venture company. We want to get into purchasing and owning some long-term assets, just long-term holds, the cash flow. Favorite part of the day was this percentage of ownership chart for the joint ventures. Really easy to read and really helped clarify some of our plan going forward. Definitely recommended. We had some good laughs and we had a really good time.
That sheet, Patrick, was super impactful to people. People were blown away by that matrix on how to determine how much of a joint venture you deserve. Is it 10%? You deserve 90%? You deserve 70%? And probably one of the biggest mistakes people make, Patrick, is they give away too much of the deal.
They give away, and it comes from not having confidence in their abilities and sometimes just not even understanding that, gosh, it never occurred to me that I'm giving too much or I'm leaving too much on the table.
Yeah, 100%. So folks, here's the price. Drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. There's the price. Wow, 68% savings off the public price. You get it for $995. Now that is not just for the event. That's for everything, guys. I get this question all the time. Oh, so it's $995 just for the event? No, it's $995 for all of it, which is incredible. The event, the workbook manual, the online system, and the follow-up webinar as well. Now it's $995. This price is today only. The price will go up tomorrow. I'll tell you about that in a second. And Patrick, we do something really cool, which I love, which is if you want to bring a spouse, it's not double the cost. We cut another discount off of that. It's only $500 to bring a spouse. So if you want to bring you and your spouse, only $14.95 for both. Why do we do that, Patrick?
Well, this is so paramount. This I've proven over many years. We see it almost every day that real estate investors that are aligned as a couple and are in the same conversation, even if one of the couple is not active in the deal, but if somebody comes and understands the intention, understands the context of it, they're familiar with the language, they're familiar and understanding, they get to support each other. And man, oh man, the success rate is just goes through the roof when you have the significant other that's dialed in. Even if they're not participating with you, having that understanding and the same language and the intention behind it, man, oh man, it's brilliant. And I can tell you without, guess what? If you do have somebody, how your significant other, if you're the husband, how your wife approaches a conversation may be actually better than what you do, or vice versa, so that you actually play a role because you come with different skills, different competencies, different ways of communicating. So couples are so powerful when they invest together.
Yeah, totally agree, Patrick. So folks, there's two links in the chat. You'll see if you want to attend in person, you click the one link. If you want to attend the live stream, you click the other link. So click one or the other. After you purchase, you don't have to add your spouse today. You can add your spouse at any point before the event. So if you purchase the in-person, which I imagine most of you will, you purchase the in-person and then send us a message with your name and phone number and tell us you want to add your spouse, and then David will call you. David's our real estate solution specialist. He will call you and you can add your spouse after, folks, okay? So just get registered and get going. Now, Mark's asking, are you doing one in Calgary or Edmonton? Mark, this year there's only two of them slated. One of them for the West Coast, one of them for the East Coast. You missed the West Coast one. Here's the East Coast one. It is worth the flight. Actually, in fact, Kennedy says this. Listen to what Kennedy had to say because he addresses this head on. Good question, Mark.
Okay, my name is Kennedy. I came all the way from Calgary for this event. I signed up for this because I thought I really needed this joint venture thing. I've been investing in real estate, but most of it I've been doing it by myself, and I got to that point where I need to start working with other people. And to do this, I needed expert knowledge. So I thought this was a golden opportunity for me to come and share this knowledge and start connecting with like-minded people. My biggest takeaway for today is having this joint venture deal in place, going through the various steps of selecting, filtering people, and having the right people. And I would recommend this 100%. I think it was worth the investment of coming from Calgary to Vancouver.
There you go. So Patrick, as we give this massive 68% savings, you want to bring your spouse. If you don't purchase, folks, there's two things. Number one, this isn't a run to the back of the room. We're going to run out today. We're not going to run out today, but I am telling you this, we are going to keep the class sizes small, under 50 people. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, so at some point we will cap it off, just so you know. But the second thing is if you want to purchase next week because you're thinking, I'm not sure, I'm going to think about it, that's okay. The price goes up to $15.95. So you make your choice whether you want to pay $9.95 or $15.95. You can always bring your spouse for an extra $500. Patrick, we believe in that, and we think that's important. So I just want to let people know. And folks, there isn't another one scheduled. I'm seeing people. Oh, perfect, Daniel. So that's great. So folks, there's people that are telling me, I'm in. So folks, if you want us to call you, if you'd rather us call you instead of you signing up online, just put your name and your phone number in there and your email, and we'll have David, our real estate solutions specialist, give you a call. Daniel, look forward to working with you, pal.
You know something, JG, just let me say something is that, you know, what was really interesting, Wendy Chung, and I use her name because she's very accomplished as a real estate investor in Vancouver, but she's been a long time RAIN member and a friend. Guess what she did? You know what she did? She brought her 14-year-old son, and he sat at the front row and she sat beside him, and together she was really using this as an opportunity to open up a conversation. Because guess what? Kids don't always listen to their parents, but guess what they'll listen to? They'll listen to other adults. And we had fun, by the way. And he was a great, great young man and wonderful. But the thing was, he got a ton out of it. And so it's an idea for you to consider. That's something that I just want to put on the table.
That's a really great point. Really, really great point. So that's excellent, Patrick. So let's come back around to this, Patrick, because at the end of the day, there are people here that are they want the opportunities, they want to get in the growth zone, they may be stuck in the fear zone. I mean, do you have any advice for people that are sitting on the fence saying, do it, don't do it, do it, don't, I want to do it, but you know, like, what do you say to those people, Patrick? You've been doing this for 100 years. I mean, 20 years.
You know, there's a couple parts to it, and I'll keep it simple. Number one, you have to believe in yourself. You really, really have to believe in yourself that you can pull it off, number one. Number two, you have to invest in yourself. It goes back to Justin sharing to the MBA. You know, I only learned 6 things, but guess what? Those 6 things made me millions of dollars. And so with this, you're talking about investing $1,000 in yourself. You get to hang out with me and you, JG, and Jennifer. Like, we're fun to hang out with, and we're going to deliver. That's what we get lit up to do. And so for anybody that's there, look at where you are in this particular real estate investor success cycle. Where are you in your cycle? And understand, believe in yourself, number one, because we believe in you and we'll help you believe in yourself. And secondly, it's $1,000. Invest in yourself. You're worth the investment. You will take action. You will get it done. And this is the way to do it.
And quite frankly, Patrick, I mean, $1,000 in the real estate business, you are going to make hundreds of thousands on deals. You're going to make millions of dollars if you do 3, 5, 10 properties. You know, one deal in the JV world, one deal is worth 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 plus. The ROI on this from an investor perspective is off the charts.
Okay,
that's on the positive side, Patrick. But on the negative side, I promise you folks, we're going to keep you out of the dog shit you're going to step into. I know I got a little crazy there, but you're going to step in stuff, and we're going to keep you out of that, and you're going to be so thankful. It's going to be the best $995 you ever invested, because we're going to tell you what not to do at the same time as we're going to tell you what to do.
You know, and there's one other thing, you know, in that previous slide, which you don't have to go back to it, but you know, when we talk about the 4 dimensions of trust, and I'm gonna shine a light on it again. People are afraid to invest in themselves because why? They don't trust themselves. I will guarantee you that you'll be equipped to go raise capital, but that doesn't mean that you're going to go raise capital. So you have to actually, part of getting out of your comfort zone, going through your fear zone, is trusting yourself that you're going to get it done. Do it.
I absolutely, totally, 100% agree. Folks, click on the link. I got one more short little 15-second video for you to watch. Check this out.
My name is Julie. I'm a RAIN member. I signed up for this workshop because I got there in my real estate business. I needed more coaching surrounding joint venture partnerships. I wanted to find the right ways to structure it and to approach people about it. So I totally found that here. My biggest takeaway so far, it's huge. We received this form that helps you weight what you can bring in a deal. That's huge.
Notice all the takeaways, Patrick. Everyone's like, we got this tool, we got this template, we got this document. I mean, we're literally compressing decades into days. And I just realized, Patrick, you're talking about Wendy and her 14-year-old son, which is right there. Yeah, right there. So that's Wendy and her son. So, okay, folks. I would honestly love to sit here and answer questions all day long because I love doing this, but Patrick and I have another webinar that we're teaching in 20 minutes. So we need to get ready for that. So unfortunately, we can't really dig into questions, but I will tell you this, all of the questions you've asked, every single one of them is going to be answered at this event, in this program. I promise you that. And if it's not, Patrick or myself or Jennifer will personally answer it, because this program will be about getting you what you need to take you and your real estate business and your real estate portfolio to the next level, whatever that means for you. Patrick, any final words?
We're excited about it. And, you know, we are so passionate about this program, and we're so excited about the program. We will deliver. We'll deliver it impeccably, and you'll be very, very happy that you attended the event. Want to see you there.
Yes. Now, folks, I see a bunch of people putting in their phone numbers and their names and their emails in the chat. Keep doing that. David, our real estate solution specialist, is going to call you today. If you have a question that you're like, okay, well, you know what, I think I'm going to do this, but I have this one little question, put your name and information in the chat, have David call you and get your questions answered. If this is not for you, David will tell you. If this is not the right program for you, David will tell you. That we're not about selling stuff to people who don't need it. This is not what RAIN's all about. We haven't been doing this for 28 years, and we haven't served over 151,000 investors coast to coast, who've done, by the way, $5 billion worth of real estate. We haven't done that by accident. We did that because we deliver high value programs at a reasonable price. So folks, put your first name, last name, phone number, and email in the chat. David, our real estate solution specialist, will get in touch with you. Patrick, thanks for making the time, man. Appreciate it.
Well done, JG. Thanks. And thanks everybody for being on this webinar.
It's going to be fun. I'll see you all there. Looking forward to it.